So welcome, everybody. Me and the birds welcome you all to our Council of Light. And this is a convening of people with a lot of experience and a lot of love. I'm Cheryl Schwartz, for those of you who don't know me, and I've been a holistic veterinarian and animal advocate for a long, long time. And I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you for coming here, all of you participants. I have a lot of respect and honor you each. I wanted to start this with a short reading of something called Life Savings by Amy Nicole Purpura. An elderly man was walking across 4 lanes of traffic when his bag broke, vegetables rolling all over the intersection. He tried to grab a few things but gave up and hobbled to the curb, his food left laying in the street. It was rush hour and the light had turned green on a Friday. I made the cars wait, and I ran over to pick up purple cabbage, lemons, tomatoes, living colors splashed across the baking concrete. The man waved me off, looking at the impatient drivers. It's no use, it's too much. But I managed to collect every errant vegetable and the broken bag and set it down next to him on the curb. Running back to my car, another driver gave me the thumbs up sign. We all know what it's like to have a bag break, and probably many bags will unceremoniously break in the future for all of us. Bags will break, cabbage heads will roll, and no one is going to care about your credit score. Everyone is going to be about you helping the elderly man with his vegetables. That is our worth, our currency, our wealth, our life savings. We can invest it locally or use it as we see fit. It's real, it's priceless. And that's how I'm feeling these days. We've been sheltering in place for the last 2+ months. We're on our 3rd month. And what we've been seeing is that the energy is all around us and our old structures are crumbling. We have that energy from the structures that are crumbling to invest in something new. What can we invest in that helps the planet, our animals, and ourselves? Roshi Joan Halifax, who has a monastery in New Mexico, likens this time to a rite of passage, where there is first uncertainty with a lot of grieving. Then there's a thrashing and a threshing and a threshold or a portal before we go into the next place, which is a reintegration. We're each in different places in this panel and in the world. What I'd like to do is share our experiences so that we can help the people who listen to this navigate their own journey, since each of us is unique, and how to be with nature and mimic not only nature, but all of our animal friends. What I want you to do for my part is I wanted to talk about focusing on your immune system as compared to only focusing on a vaccine or protecting yourself from everything out there. So to focus on you and to make your boundaries strong. And again, because I'm in Chinese medicine, I want to talk a moment about acupressure points and to talk about the elbow. Everybody who's there, I want you to just move your elbow back and forth and see that when your elbow is stiff, that your shoulder is stiff, your back is stiff, and you have a hard time breathing. But when your elbow is mobile, things seem to relax. Your shoulder relaxes, your chest relaxes. So when animals are walking, if they're walking stiffly, then it jams their back and they can't breathe. When they're resting, what I'd like you to do, and you can do it on yourself and you can do it on your animals, is to gently go across the elbow crease from the outside to the inside of the arm. You're getting immune points from the large intestine. You're getting calming points from the heart and pericardium, and you're getting lung points to help your breathing. Just that simple thing, and noticing how relaxed you can feel with your elbow relaxing, is an excellent thing. The last thing I'd like to share is that at this point in time, I find that medicinal mushrooms are extremely important. Medicinal mushrooms with their mycelia act as connective tissue within us and without us. And mushrooms are a community. Mushrooms support everything around them from under the ground and holding you up. And mushrooms can help with our immunity, our boundaries, and our heart and spirit with love. They're compassionate, and they've been around even longer than viruses. So that's my 5 cents. And what I'd like to do is call upon Mary Argo, and I'd ask you, as you each go along, to introduce yourself briefly and tell us about your experience that you're going through now and how it relates to the animals and how you want to share that with the world. Mary, please.
There we go. I'm Mary Argo. I've been an animal communicator for 20 plus years, and I've studied a number of modalities from flower essences to homeopathy to different energy medicine. And so I like to combine all of it to help support our animals. And what I've been seeing, when we first started with the quarantine, it was more chaos, a lot of upset stomachs, and pets worrying because they were picking up their person's worry and stress. And now the more we're settling into it, the animals are really responding back. I've been seeing a lot less physical stuff, more of, finally, mom and dad are home. Why aren't they home more? People need to be together. Dogs have their packs. Cats have clouders, horses have herds, and that all the animals are saying, we need to be together. We thrive as a group in support of each other, not as individuals. So now they're really enjoying having their parents home and moving through much, much easier. And even, and actually I'm laughing because I could hear my kitties in the background, but I can also hear them say, the more that we're getting that whole support, the more stronger our immune is, the happier we are, the more settled. It's more of coming together as a community and really focusing on being together and supporting each other and helping even the so-called weakest of the herd. And, just moving forward in that direction. And that when we break off individually, it's to the detriment of everyone. And I have to laugh because as you were reading your poem, my cat Merlin was rubbing like crazy across my computer, and he completely agreed with everything you were saying.
Great, Mary. So you have been working through this whole thing. How has this shelter in place affected you?
I've been very blessed. I already kind of self-isolate, and I kind of like it that way. And it's just been keeping me actually very busy. And so, I actually have to make a point to try and get out, to try and get some fresh air, to try and play with, my animals. And they are constantly demanding play more than ever. And my kitties are technically considered seniors, but they are more playful than ever. So they're actually, I think, enjoying more of the energy and more. They're getting younger, in my opinion.
Well, that's great to know. And anything you wanted to add as we move forward? Are you seeing more or less confusion?
Actually, less confusion. They are feeling that we've gone from being separate, that we're actually together, but individuals. We can still keep our individuality, but it's more of a collective group at this point.
And as we go back, are there any messages that they're giving you?
To not go back to that individualness and and getting off our phones, getting off the computer more, to be able to integrate and enjoy nature. That's actually a really big theme that I'm hearing is, that people need to get out and enjoy nature. And especially now, because it's becoming so beautiful without all the pollution.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Snow.
Yep, had to unmute. Thank you. So I'm Snow, and my forte has really become the practice of energy medicine and modern day shamanism. I have a background in everything from way back, being a veterinary assistant, to studying more manual osteopathic hands-on therapies for people, educating anatomy, physiology in medical massage schools, and quite a variety. So I've been blessed to study with indigenous medicine people on both the north and southern continents, and it's become an eclectic blend, and animals have been my greatest loves since I can remember and as far back. And so they've always spoken to me, both in the domestic world and out in nature. So, I have had bear cubs crawl on my lap. I have run with the coyotes. I thrive when I am in the wilderness. So I feel like they are my people. And this entire experience, so I had something a little bit different formatted, and I love how we opened, and I'm grateful for the invitation to be more personal in this, Cheryl, because this time has been powerful medicine in its own right. I liken it to putting ingredients into a pressure cooker, and instead of results coming in a very slow process, it has been an opportunity to catalyze deep work for us individually and as a collective. And so while I became slower in business, and it's emerging now, my own personal journey became more intense. And through this, I believe it's calling me out to step up and emerge more and be more interconnected with my gifts, while simultaneously balancing that with my needs as an introvert, to take advantage of the demarcation and the boundaries of our own version of sheltering in place. And through technology, through intention, through the beautiful connections we've all established, remaining connected very intentionally. Something I've witnessed now, I came down to stay for like 5 weeks in Arizona when this all happened, from Northern California. And I'm still here, my dog and I are still here, but we're migrating back in less than 2 weeks. Arizona lifted completely all restrictions as of Friday.
Oh my God.
Dramatic difference. We were cognizant of an increase in activity and traffic patterns. And locally, the parks have been like sanctuaries. People have initially friendlier. It's backed off a little bit of late, and utilizing their outdoor, in spite of the heat, outdoor opportunities with their animals. I saw a lot more activity of people being with their animals, which is what they've needed, as Mary said. And ironically, last night, when it was cool enough, I took a walk with my dog to the park. It was the first time in the last several months of sheltering in place, there was no one at the park. It was bizarre. So the human world, I think, took every opportunity to go out and do people things again. And I hope that we remember the needs of our beloved animal companions and all the wonderful messages they have given us. And I've witnessed that with my own baby, even my bored collie, who does not want to rush up and play with other dogs readily in recent weeks has been giving every indication that she's craving more social interaction, both with people and other animals. And really, even if it's just for an errand to the grocery store, not really happy at being left alone or separated. And the other thing I've seen when we've focused on immunity in the beginning of this experience, so important, also have had adaptogenic or medicinal mushrooms come up in sessions. But whether it's so a dog in Illinois, a dog in Seattle, a horse in Texas, noticing that with my clients of late, it seems like they're catharting out some allergic responses as well. And very recently, more lymphatic symptoms. And so the one herbal recommendation for that that's been prominent has been cleavers. As an herb, just to help them cleanse the lymphatic system, good for all of us, because I believe on many levels we are all transmuting effects, energetically, emotionally, psychically, and certainly physically as well, from this experience of adapting to a new world. And the theme of rebirth has also been prominent, that we are emerging into new, and there is opportunity for that. So in the world of energy medicine, being very cognizant about how our own energy is running. One of the best practices that I'm reminded of in this moment is encouraging all of us to, even if we have to connect with a memory, to be very intentional about going in and settling our energy, centering, remembering a time when we felt calm and peaceful and connected to the earth, nature, loving source energy, such that we begin to feel it, breathing into it, really allowing every cell in your body to enjoy it. And from that space, approaching our animals when they need something. If we're gonna touch the same meridians and immunity points on ourselves, they need it as well. And what I've noticed is daily assurance from us, and that type of connectivity is what I'm noticing they're giving us the signals. I want this, I like this. How you approach me, though, very important. So we have a duty to redirect ourselves and center and come from that heart space. And in doing that, even if it's just for a few minutes with your dog or kitty or ferret or horse, it's more effective, and they're much more receptive when our offering is based in peace and calmness and love.
Thank you, Snow.
Cleansing. That's my share. Thank you.
Thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for reminding us all. I'm moving people along right here. Gretchen, you're on.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very, very much. I missed a bit of the connections other weeks, but I'm back and delighted that you've been holding the energy. Liked what you were saying. Oh, I'm an astrologer. I've been one for over 50 years. I became a naturopathic doctor graduated in the early 80s in New Zealand. I have a love for homeopathy, flower essences and herbs particularly. I have a passion for working with teenagers. And so that's what my main bit of joy recently has been. I'm involved with a small school here on Whidbey Island. I have a small class of teens that we've had to move on to virtual as much as we can. And I have been, this whole experience, I've been encouraging them and working with them in it. This experience is a vision quest, is the biggest vision quest possible, but it is the whole planet on vision quest. But they are particularly blessed because they are teenagers and they are experiencing this extraordinary time. And that's been my greatest joy. You know, yes, there's all sorts of things that have been happening in my life, mostly having to do with me settling into a different situation. It's taken a lot. But this whole thing with Vision Quest, I so agree. We are all in the Vision Quest. And it's been so fabulous with these kids because it's had to be virtual so far, except I send them out into nature around their gardens to look for what wants to flirt with them, what plants, you know, are animals coming up. I say, in a time of the Vision Quest, you know, you are sequestered, you are in isolation, your senses are very acute, and you don't have the ordinary sources. So be watching. And their experience of animals has been phenomenal. Being saying, okay, you're power animals, you need power animals, and they will be your animals that you have, your dogs, your cats, but there may be others, and who wants your attention. And one of them had a young eagle fly. We have a lot of eagles here. One had a young eagle fly with a fish in its mouth just over its head last week. You know, things are happening with these kids. Another had this experience of spiders that were all these silver spiders. And it's been phenomenal and challenging to do a lot by Zoom, but gives me such joy. So just reminding, thank you, about, you know, that Joan Halifax is on this, that we are all in this. And, you know, the mushrooms. I agree so much with both Snow and Cheryl. The mushrooms as that networking tool or guide, they're helping me more than just about anything else. Mushrooms, and every morning at dawn, I'm lucky, I live on a little island very close to the water in Puget Sound, and every morning at dawn I go out and I go swimming in the salt water, and I'm working with the elements. And the perfect time, you know, that early morning dawn to pre-dawn, when the fire of the sun comes up and the earth beneath me is still, very still, the stones that I feel on my feet as I walk along, and the air that is so gentle that it is not sullying the silkiness of the water, and this extraordinary relationship with the elements. And I find myself, I'm singing to the waters in languages I don't know. And I haven't had much time with people at all, but I've had a lot of time with the elements directly. I'm very blessed in that. Gosh, I want to say one thing astrologically, all right? I don't know if I'm to my 5 minutes. In the last week, 3 planets have turned retrograde. May 11th, May 13th, May 14th. 3 planets turned retrograde, and Pluto turned on April 25th. And when so much goes retrograde, what happens is, my feeling is that the forward moving process of the disintegration that Cheryl spoke of so articulately, it's kind of going inward and maybe beneath the surface. And there's a lot of people who are going to think we're through it. They begin to come back out of their retrogrades. Venus earlier, but the 3 main players, Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter, come out in the fall, when just about everybody agrees we're going to have more of this challenge. But with the retrograde, for one, I'm just listening to the 2 that have already spoken and thinking, yes, we're working on our immune systems, but our inner immune systems too, the boundaries, the internal boundaries. So helpful to work on those when there's so much retrograde going on. And that we're also going back over how did I manage this first part? What drew my attention? What was my part of the vision quest happening? Because now with the retrogrades happening until September, when they start going forward again, it's time to review, to make stronger, to prepare for the next wave, which is going to be coming from so many directions. We have not only a virus, but we have predatory governments and people who are unfortunately at least using it to take terrible advantage, like opening up private, state-owned lands to hunting. That was the news this morning. Just terrible things. So yes, strengthening the immune system in every way, working on boundaries. Every one of us is extra sensitive, and so we need to be really clear on our boundaries. I'm finding that I'm been having some nightmares just in these last few days, and they feel like they're the collective angst going beneath the surface. So thank you so much for letting me be part of this. I am so delighted already. It's been so rich. Thank you.
I'm so thankful that you're here, Gretchen. Thank you so much. There's so many things to talk about that I don't know. We all want to put in everything, and then we say, oh God, I forgot that, I forgot that. Okay. Next up is Rob.
Hi, everybody. I'm Rob Erdeman, and I'm a holistic veterinarian. And I have been sheltering in place in Stinson Beach, California, which is a beautiful piece of nature. And there's so many similarities of my experiences, of course, to what everyone has shared so far. And a couple of things are coming up for me listening to everybody and my own experiences. And one of them is that in the beginning, at least for me, the sheltering in place was just a beautiful kind of experience to have a lot of time for myself and to be in nature and to have that connection just with myself, the plants, the animals around me. But as time has gone on, my natural need for human connection has come up, and it's so apparent that our connections with each other are life-giving, and the isolation is the opposite of that. And like maybe many of you, I've had more of an affinity to animals in my life, maybe than people, but I'm recognizing how much I need my contact with people as well. And so emerging from the sheltering in place, or I don't know if we are in my neighborhood, but certainly in a feeling way, the pressure is building up in people, and more people are reaching out and wanting to have more contact. So that's one piece that I wanted to share that's coming up. It's what my work is really based on that our consciousness is anchored in the body. And I've shared a lot of my work with Cheryl. We've had a lot of exchanges about it. And there's an aspect of my work that the body is divided up regionally, and it's different than the chakras in dimensions. And different dimensions in the body anchor different consciousnesses. So in our previous discussions, I brought up the here and now consciousness being anchored in the pelvis. It helps keep us really grounded in relationship to ourselves as well as our relationship to the outside world. But one of the things that I think everybody has brought up, Cheryl, you very specifically, is a dimension that we talk about as the loving of the self, which is the elbows, the knees, and the thorax. And in these times, it's really difficult to stay anchored in that. And I think, as Gretchen pointed out, the cosmic influences can make it difficult, but also the collective energy of being in the unknown of how we proceed, how we continue to move along in a new world. And so I loved your exercise, Cheryl, with the elbow. And I am going to try to just demo an exercise and see if it works. In this work that I do to reach the loving of the self in an anchored way in the body, we do a Sphinx exercise. So putting ourselves in the Sphinx position. And I can't see myself on here to know. You can see me. There we go. Can you see me over here? That works. So the Sphinx exercise can be used to meet different dimensions in the body. But for the loving of the self, there's a right angle at the knee and a right angle at the hip. And we go down on the elbows, and the elbows also directly below the shoulders. Dropping the spine, sinking the spine, and bringing the head up. And this gives a feeling for contact with the loving of the self in a direction to the outside world. Okay. So, that is something that for me keeps me connected to my feeling of type of happiness in myself, and then I can move with that in the outside world. And it's more than 5 minutes, but also from the Sphinx position, we can walk in the Sphinx. And again, it aids us in our anchoring relative to how we're feeling, our ability to breathe, be connected to ourselves, and make a bridge to the animals and the people around us.
Oh, that's fabulous. I have a question, Rob. Have you done this with animals present, and do the animals want to mimic what you're doing?
Here's what I'll say about that is in workshops, we've done the exercise as a group and the animals respond to it. They don't mimic it, but they kind of come alive a little bit, and they enjoy the energy of it. But I've also done the exercises on the animals a lot, putting them in the Sphinx position so they can meet that feeling of themselves.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Kathleen. Oh, did you have something more, Rob?
No, that's it. Thank you, everybody.
Kathleen.
Hi, everyone. I'm really pleased to be part of this circle today, and I'm really delighted to be part of this like-minded group of animal lovers. And I think we all have this place in our hearts for the animals and in our lives as well. I'm a nature intuitive and flower essence practitioner, and that is my primary work. And I work, I'm grateful that my work has always been remote. So as long as the mails are working and the internet and phones are up, I'm good to go to be able to serve in this way. And that's been really the thing that I've focused on is that my ability to be of service to the world, to people in this moment of extreme stress and change and chaos, and we don't know what's happening, or in this limbo time of what is going to happen. And the thing that the animals are doing for us is helping us stay in the moment. They are so good at helping us not get into that, what happens in 2 or 3 weeks? What happens in 3 months? What happens in the fall? It's like, wow, nothing good comes of that, of being in that place, of getting into that spiral. So having our animals remind us all the time, like, hey, let's go outside. Let's go check something out. Let's go see what that smells like. They help us remember to stay in this reality of in our bodies, grounded in place. As a practitioner, I'm really noticing in this area. I live in Sonoma County in Alexander Valley, and I'm in the burn zone that burned 2 years ago close, and then last year right around my house. So I'm right in the midst of this renewal process of looking at, I look out onto a burned landscape, you know, from everything about 12, 15 feet below is all burned and lots of trees are burned. And then below that is grasses and things are starting to renew themselves. And as I'm taking what I'm calling sanity walks in my neighborhood, which have been essential, I keep going back to this initial concept of sanity and health. You know, the original terming of sane is of health. And so I'm finding myself supporting my sanity by going outside and taking walks, short, long walks, whatever, just being outside in nature and noticing these signs of renewal. And so these signs of renewal, I'm watching these wild roses, the California wild rose, blooming out of burned earth. It's coming up from the roots. Everything around it is charcoal. And yet these beautiful cherry pink flowers, this flower essence, the California wild rose is this hopeful, heartful quality. And I keep encountering this in my walks. And it just, every time I see it, I go instantly out of the, everything's awful into, hey, you know what? There are signs of positive and hopefulness. And I'm really reminding myself to share that with my pets, share that with my animals, and using it in my environment as well, making a mist or using any flower essence mist that you have on hand, and just introducing that into your environment, bringing flowers in the house, bringing pieces of nature in the house. I bring in little grass seeds for my birds, which you probably hear in my background, little grass stems. They need that nature too, and it helps them ground and be present in this space, in this liminal space of we don't know what is going to happen. That's sort of my offering to you all of really connecting with nature helps us get grounded, get in our bodies, get in this moment that the animals are such great teachers to share with us. I've also, if you're looking to know more about flower essences, I do have the Flower Essence podcast, which I love to share, and we've been doing a lot of focused episodes on supporting ourselves in the pandemic.
Well, yes. Oh, thank you, Kathleen. Thank you. That made my heart sing with the roses, because I too have been noticing that just in Alameda.
Yes. Yeah.
Or in a town environment. And it certainly saves me, and the colors have been totally vibrant. So thank you. Linda.
Hi. Well, it says I'm not muted, but it's not switching over to, I'm a holistic vet. And yes, the roses have been amazing this year. Just, I've seen more blooms all over the bushes than ever before. And I'll just have a quick thing about the horse and how it's agreeing with what people are saying. She's really been seeking out contact and connection and wanting to stay together all night if we could, and opening up to mutual grooming in a new way of really wanting to connect physically. So I hadn't thought about that till this meeting, like, oh yeah, that kind of fits in with what we're saying. The other thing that came up is that we're learning how to face an unknown danger, and how to navigate that. And horses are, she's very good at noticing what could be dangerous, and then how to face that together and learn how to do that without panic. So that's another sort of thing that the horses are saying. And then what I thought I would add is we are in this time of new possibilities and looking at what some of the research has been in how to facilitate that. And there's kind of three main points. One is to spend time, about 20% of your time, taking in everything that you can about whatever it is that you're interested in, or researching and reading and noticing how things are, and just really delving into learning everything that you can about the areas that interest you, and to have a foundation to be inspired from, and to form new ideas from, to sort of help you set things up for new possibilities. The next thing is to give yourself space and time to let your chatty side of your brain idle and quiet down, so that you can hear the quiet inner voice that that is going to be assimilating what's happening and coming up with new possibilities. That could be, you know, some people think that's the right side of your brain or the voice of your soul, but finding what you need to be able to hear that. And it could be walking in nature, or biking, or swimming, or driving, or whatever it is that lets you hear that voice. And then the third thing is to notice what's happening that's working already, and growing from that. It's using some imitation of what's already working, and adding novelty to that, or adding something new to that. It's just one way of practicing how to create new things that can actually happen. And anyway, so those are three things to explore in finding our way through.
Thank you, Linda, for that wonderful wisdom. And we were able to hear you without saying, Linda, talk louder. Thank you.
I tried.
Good. Sally, you're up next.
My name is Sally Savitz. I've been practicing Chinese medicine and homeopathy for many, 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 many years. And I want to talk about, first I want to talk about something very personal that happened. Before I even start, I want to say that I believe that community, working in community and collective, is one of the answers to providing a new order, a new normal. And it's globally. So this week, I think 2 weeks ago, I decided that I could not afford to keep my office, meaning because I could not practice acupuncture anymore. I could not maintain the social distance, and I thought a lot about it before I made that decision. And I also said I was very grateful that I had so many years, and as I put it, I had a wonderful run with that. So I felt quite settled with it. And but this week I had to go into my office to get some herbs and homeopathic remedies. And when I walked in there, my office mate person had taken all the rugs out of the rooms. He didn't tell me he was going to do it, so I didn't know. And I opened the door, and all the rugs from all the rooms were piled in the middle of my waiting room. And I just had it was startling, actually. It was like, oh my gosh. And the reality of it hit me. And I had, I would say at least 5 minutes of like, oh no, this is really a reality. And again, I had to work through and say, it's been a wonderful time. And I don't really have any regrets. And so this part of my practice is essentially over, but I'm so glad to share with you another aspect of what has come up during this time. In February, I started thinking about antivirals. It just came in my mind. I think I came from a different source. I'll say that. And I decided to start working on a formula that incorporated medicinal mushrooms and Chinese herbs. And so I made my first formula, and I'll tell, someone had asked what herbs. In the first formula, I had 5 herbs, and they were chaga, cordyceps, reishi, shiitake, and maitake. And then I made it in a medium of CBD isolate and organic MCT oil and astragalus. And I made it essentially because February I was still working, and I just dispensed it in my office for clients who seemed to want it. And then I believe at the end of February, my twin sister, as I said, I'm a twin, and I were going to see a film at a theater that was closed. And we ended up going to see Fantastic Fungi, which absolutely changed my life. And I thought, oh boy, did I get beautiful information. And thank you, Paul Stamets, for your wisdom.
Yes.
And it just reinforced it so much for me. So I've been working on it, and then someone connected me with it happens to be Snow in Arizona, a website company and a company that sells CBD and hemp products, and it's called Indulge Earth. So I've been in negotiations with these folks, beautiful people, for the last 2 months, and we finalized our final formula on Wednesday, and it includes the 5 mushrooms I said already, but it also includes turkey tail and lion's mane. And it also includes elderberry and vitamin C. And these people have just, they're running with it, and they're going to make 5,000 units of the first batch. It will be a while until it doesn't matter to me. I'm saying this just to elucidate. It's going to be a while because the first batch is going to probably cost about $150,000 to make 5,000 units. So I'm not expecting a huge return, but I am so happy to be getting this out into the world that it's just, I feel very joyful about it. The last thing I want to talk about is the vaccine. And as a homeopath, as a classical homeopath, we have been inculcated with the deleterious effects of vaccines on the human body and what it can do in terms of other diseases, cancer, autism, just naming 2 of them. And so much energy is being put toward that. And essentially, people see it as, yes, this is the answer. This is going to heal everything. Well, I can tell you that is not, I don't feel it's the answer. I feel we all have to do everything to keep our immune systems as healthy as possible. And using the mushrooms, I feel like my whole family is, my animals are, and many, many of the people I work with. It's one aspect of keeping your immune system very, very healthy. So I feel, in a general sense, we need a vaccine, not just against the COVID. And it has distorted politically what is really going on in this country, and so many things are happening because the focus is so much on the vaccine. And I feel like we need a vaccine. I'm saying that facetiously, but we need something that works in terms of the justice in this country, and I mean social in the world.
Yes.
Social justice.
Yes.
Justice of racism, justice of economic injustice.
Yes.
And that's really, really what my focus is in the future. And I want to share that with you and just say I love being here. And thank you, Cheryl, for including me in this. And it brings light and joy to my life every time I'm a part of it. So bless you all.
Oh, thank you, Sally. Thank you.
My pleasure.
And I appreciate everybody's comments. I just do. They're heartfelt for me also. So next up is Cathy Malkin.
Hi, everybody. I'm Cathy Malkin. I've been an animal communicator for over 20 years. I'm also an animal Reiki teacher and practitioner. I've been doing that for 15 years. And then I've been a humane educator, planting seeds of kindness and compassion for the last 25 years. And in the last few months, I'm here in the San Francisco Bay Area. We've been sheltering in place, and I've watched the energy move from more fight and flight to more acceptance and balance. But honestly, I don't find anything normal about the new normal. I think that this is a very upsetting time. So I have always taken my lead from the animals and asked them to guide me in this time in a way that not only nurtures me and my family, but how I can be of service to help others during this time, because the light can be very dark. And I do feel part of why we're all here together in this moment, but our work is to shine light on the darkness and to hold the energy for a more positive way of being in this world, where we're being more compassionate and we have more loving kindness for one another. So this has been a deep time of reflection for me, as well as a time of giving. I've done a lot of online free classes just to help people not only feel connected to one another, but to bring in the animals to help us with that connection, because it does come down to that heart connection and feeling our oneness with everybody. And today, as I was meditating before we got together, one of the ways I'm helping is by helping people meditate with animals. We have to shift from these human doings, shift on down to being. And one of the animals that came to me is my oldest living client. His name is Grandpa. He's a desert tortoise, and he's 108 years old. So he was here during the pandemic and through many, many things that we as humans have experienced. And he says, take it easy, go at your own pace, go into your shell if you need to. But more than anything, Grandpa is urging all of us to not only trust our intuition, but to stay heart connected, because that's what's going to help us through the darkness into the light. So it's been an amazing experience listening to the animals' advice and trying to be more playful. And one of the things that the animal Reiki practice brings for me is not only the 5 precepts that keep me very present and grounded, but the meditation and creating a healing bridge, if you will, for the animals to step onto, and holding a picture of perfection. Now, right now, let's face it, things are pretty not so great, right? But if we hold that light and we hold that perfection, energy follows intention. And I do believe we're going to get through this portal and this time. But I also believe we need to listen to our intuition and watch the animals around us. Let them lead us, let them guide us, because they'll stay present and grounded in a way that we have a hard time doing. And it is scary. And as Linda mentioned, horses, fight or flight, they run from danger. We as humans tend to run to danger. So the way to keep us safe, as it keeps the animals safe, is by staying connected and really trusting that part of ourselves. If something doesn't feel right, to really honor it, because we tend not to honor that side. And that's the side that I feel is going to bring us through into a brighter light and a very different place as we're in this deconstruction right now. So holding that picture of perfection, energy follows intention, and it's my belief that we will get there, but we've got to hold on to our hats. We're not through it. This is definitely a marathon. And if anybody knows about marathons, that's my good friend Grandpa. He's been doing this a long time, and he says, slow and steady, don't get crazy, stay within your space and keep those clear boundaries. So I wish everybody, not only here on the call, but out there, to stay safe, to trust themselves, and to remember, it's about staying connected through our heart and feeling the love and compassion we have, not only for ourselves, our animal families, friends, but our community, because we need each other now more than ever, even if we're in our homes or self-isolating. So thank you very much for letting me be here, and it's such an honor. Blessings to everybody.
Oh, thank you, Cathy. That was beautiful. And I actually saw and felt Grandpa. What a guy.
He's pretty amazing. He's got a pretty great sense of humor for somebody who's been around. And he's living with the person he raised. So he's a funny guy. And hopefully there'll be more. And the other thing is I'm going to continue to offer free classes for everybody online for meditation with animals to help them go to a more quiet, balanced, compassionate place, because that ripples out everywhere.
Oh, thank you, Cathy. Thank you. And Marlene, you're our closer person. So please, are you there?
Yes, I am. And what an honorable position to be in, because I could just sit back and listen to everybody, and everybody said exactly how I feel and what I have gone through. I'm Marlene Smith, and I'm retired holistic veterinarian, integrative veterinarian, and I have my personal experience, the most intense experience has been moving from a position of I would say some anger and probably resentment that all my attempts to create an integrative medicine portal in where I live. I'm fortunate enough to live on Vancouver Island in Canada, and to bring under one roof the different disciplines like Western medicine, Chinese medicine, acupuncture, herbal medicine, homeopathy, Reiki, massage, chiropractic, osteopathy. And the world wasn't ready. So not only my professional association did everything in their effort to stop it, but my colleagues did. As we all know, the Western education and the Western medicine was not ready for it. So I felt a sort of level of resentment. In the last 2 months, having gone through this experience, what I experienced was an intense, more intense emotional feeling. It was just like my own personal awareness was heightened. As you have mentioned already, the flowers right now, the colors, nature, the animals in nature are much more present and much more intense. And interestingly enough, my personal spiritual journey has gone beyond what I have attempted to do, and that is connecting with nature, connecting with animals. And I actually get very clear messages. So one of the messages I got kind of came as a sort of a dream, was what kept me in veterinary practice. It was sometimes a really hard road, especially when we have to euthanize an animal that is beyond either the financial, most of the time, physical capability of to keep on going, and to deal with the grief not so much of the animal, that the animal has to leave because the animal normally accepts it, but the grief in the people that are left behind, the parents. And what kept me going in days like that is the visits of special service animals, like seeing eye dogs or emotional support dogs, search and rescue dogs, police dogs. They always would come for a visit when I was in those periods. And I was always so impressed with their commitment to their journey in life, their commitment to their people that they had given their life and dedicated their life to. I will never forget one emotional support dog who the owner had problems with a lot of anger outbursts and impulsive behavior. And every time she would get like that, the dog would just put its head on the owner's lap, or the person he was protecting put it on her lap and just stared at her. And she would just go higher and higher. And I thought, she's going to hit this dog. But no, the stare and the emotion and the calming feeling of that dog brought her right down. And then she would hug the dog and she would say to me, I would never have been alive, be able to live without the support of my animal. So when I woke up from that, I thought, there is a message. We have in the first part, when we went into this COVID isolation in we are responsible for the animals. We have to look after them. They're worried because we are strange and our behavior is strange. For me, and I don't know if you animal communicators out there feel the same way, not only my own animals, but other animals are stepping up now saying, let us do some leading. We know what it is to live alive where we don't know what's happening tomorrow. My dogs go in my car and they don't know where we're going. They come out of the car and look around and say, Yahoo, we're at the beach, or Yahoo, we're at this forest walk. They trust. They also are able to give unconditional love. And that you all have been saying already, if this is a portal to change, and I certainly feel personally that way, that there is a change in me, we have to listen to the guidance and let the animals do some leading. Open our heart, connect with nature, and let nature help us. We have already noticed the things that we need to have present in our new normal, which is the clearer air, the more beautiful, clean environment. So we can work on that. So that is the thing that has come very strongly to me. And the other one that I thought was kind of interesting, Cheryl, you talked about mushrooms, and all of you talked about mushrooms. We had the most amazing experience in our neighborhood that we got inundated with oyster mushrooms. Just about every fallen alder had so many oyster mushrooms on them, I could possibly not even get close to harvesting even 10 or 20% of them. I did harvest quite a few. We ate fresh and I dehydrated them. And everybody here was talking about, how come all the mushrooms are showing up now? Thank you, all of you, for giving me that insight about the networking, which is happening, and about the immune system. I get links sent to me that are talking about the relationship, about our lungs, which from Chinese medicine we know has to do with the Wei Qi and the immune system, how much easier it is on our lungs, especially in the city with less pollution from the cars. If we think about doing something physical, let's all move to electric cars and not pollute the environment anymore.
Yes.
So finally, what I want to say, I too, just like Rob, feel a little bit, I'm living in heaven just like Rob, live on 5 acres. The dogwood is just starting to bloom and it is just beautiful. Everything is green. I spend a lot of time in my garden. Nothing is that unusual because we go every day for an hour or 2-hour walk with the dogs and just focus on how the dogs feel, focus how we feel during a walk in nature. And yes, I am missing the connection with my fellow human beings. We talk, Zoom, Skype, other ways, but I do miss the physical contact. And I'm a little bit worried that a lot of people are not ready yet to change to a more meaningful contact. They still want to keep 20, 30 feet distance. The masks, for me, is also, I don't want to have anything to do with you. So I can't wear one. Somebody is worried that I say that. I can't wear one because it brings up past memories from that I have no maybe genetic information, but I have a very hard time, so I can't wear one. And I simply don't go in the shops where I'm supposed to wear one when I'm not allowed in. And I'm just turning around and walk away. I can't do it. So that is my personal thing. So going forward in the future, I have shifted too. And I am making the move and the step to really truly listen to my guidance, to my intuition. When I get a sudden feeling or emotion around a subject or an issue, I now dare to go right into it. I don't hold back anymore. So I'm kind of feeling hopeful that this new future will include intuitive guiding, includes the non-physical. Especially for us in medicine or veterinary medicine, we can no longer separate the physical medicine, the Newtonian medicine, from the spiritual medicine. it is one. It is not separated. So I really think, I feel hopeful for the future. So thank you very much, because connecting with all of you who think alike, who say the same things that I feel, it is so great to hear that I'm not alone. So thank you very much, and bless you, and may nature and all the love and the animals guide you in this wonderful, beautiful, shiny future.
Oh, Marlene, that was wonderful. Totally worth waiting for. So I love each of you, and I love everything that everybody said. What I'd like to do is just reiterate that we're all on the same page and how important collectivity is, being together and envisioning whatever it is we can envision, and walking in that uncertainty with as much courage as we can. And what I'd like to do is just end the meeting here for the recording. And for those of you who would like to stay on, I would like to do a roundtable panel thing about different social justice things and the whole mask issue, which is a big thing for me. So everybody out there in listening land, thank you for joining us. Let us all guide each other with our light and love and compassion. Thank you so much.